How you doing?
What's up, Murphy? How's it going, brother?
Doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want, you can go ahead and hit the record button and it'll send me a request to record. That way you have the raw footage too, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I don't normally use Zoom, so you have to bear with me on this one.
It's all good.
So I just hit record down here at the bottom.
Yeah, you hit record and then it's going to send me
Request.
a
Okay.
request. This way
It
I
says
don't have to try and dig through all my shit and get you the raw footage. You'll be able to do stuff with it faster.
did you get the request?
I don't know. No, I didn't see anything pop
It
up.
says unable to send the request because the host is recording the local recording.
Oh, okay. Well, whenever we're done, then send me a Gmail address and then I will well, I already have your Gmail address. So I'll just make sure you get the raw footage so you can do whatever you want with it. So tell me about your gig, man. Do you train? Is this podcast a passion of yours? Talk to me.
Yeah, well, I don't train. I tried it at one point, but I didn't realize it wasn't for me. But yeah, the podcast is just it's a passion project. It's just something I enjoy doing. Um, I really like fitness and I like the content side of things. So I'm starting to make some YouTube videos. I make a lot of shorts and things like that. So the
Yeah.
podcast is just a passion thing.
Yeah, you know somebody's serious about their fitness whenever their shoulders and their chest pop through a polo on a video call. So you're looking good, man. You're looking
I
good.
appreciate it.
So, what about training didn't necessarily interest you, or why did you not go that direction?
Uh, Multiple reasons. I thought I wanted to train people. Then once I got into doing it, I realized that not everybody has the same drive and passion for fitness that I do. And it kind of aggravated me knowing that other people didn't enjoy it as much as I did, which I know is kind of the whole point of being a personal trainer. You want to help them get to that. But a lot of people are just lazy, like, if we're being honest, and they don't like to put in the work. And the crazy thing is they would pay money and still not do it. That blows my mind. Like, if I'm gonna pay money for something, I'm gonna get my money's worth. Period. I don't
Right.
care. Like, I don't care what I got to do. I'm gonna get my money's worth. But nah, it just wasn't for me. I'm not a very good coach, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I didn't really try it long enough either. So
Right.
I just realized I like more of the content side of things. I'd rather do my own thing and kind of inspire people through that. Like, I'd rather help people through my content than like actually training them, doing personal training.
Yeah, I get it, man. You know, the reason why I was able to lose a significant amount of weight so quickly, well, I mean, there was a lot of reasons besides my drive and determination. Whenever I, back like right before my daughter was born, this is many, many years ago, she's 14 now. I signed up for a personal training package at LA Fitness. And I went around, I worked out with four or five trainers, and I didn't like the training industry because everybody that was training me was looking at their cell phone. This was even in the day before smartphones, and people were still hooked to their phones. And so I really felt like no trainer gave a shit about me. And then on top of that, you know, throughout my career, I learned a lot about the personal training industry. And one of the big things is most trainers look good, but they don't have knowledge. And so even though their body might look good, clients will pay them money because they have a six pack or because they have a following, but they've never helped anybody change their own body. And or they've never changed their own body themselves. They were an athlete in school and they literally have zero clue why they have a six pack or nice arms. And so they can't translate that into effective education that they can give a person. And so anyway, I probably went to four or five different training sessions to find a trainer, and then I never walked into the gym again. And so over the course of a year or so, there was a few months that passed where my I was waiting for my daughter to be born. And then of course my daughter was born. And then I spent, you know, the first 6 to 9 months of her life being a dad. And then when she got up and started walking, That was like a paradigm shift for me, that she was going through what I call the baby program. Every baby makes the same sounds, they all do the same exercises because they're literally just learning from their environment. And then I had this thought of, oh shit, my daughter's going to grow up to be 400 pounds and angry at her life. And I went back to LA Fitness, and a little over a year had passed, and I had about 120 sessions saved up. And so now, not only was I able to find a trainer, and I found a good trainer that helped me fall in love with training, but we started out doing 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and 4 days a week, and 5 days a week. And whenever you have the means to be able to work out with a trainer 5 days a week, man, I mean, I lost my first 120 pounds with him, and then I outgrew his knowledge. And once I outgrew his knowledge, I wanted to be a trainer. And you're exactly right, man. I mean, over the course of years, I ended up spending like my last year and a half in training doing a case study where I helped 500 people lose 9,000 pounds. We put on a couple of thousand pounds of muscle too, but whenever people think of getting in shape, they don't think about the addition of muscle, even though the addition of muscle is the only reason why they're getting in shape. People equate getting in shape to fat loss. And I would at the beginning of every month, I would start these classes where I would have 40 people show up, 60, 100, and I would do free boot camps on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I would teach my clients how to shop, how to read nutrition labels, how to cook, how to eat. And at the second week, the start of the second week, half the people were there. And then at the start of the third week, half of those people were there. And I would start out the beginning of the month with 100 people, and then I'd end the month with 6. And the reason is because people get motivated or inspired to change, but then not only are they not willing to put in the work, but they never build a system of discipline that will allow you to continue going through the work, because we stay in shape not because we're motivated or inspired, but because going to the gym every day is part of who we are. And whenever you're training someone and you see them 3 times a week for 30 minutes, for 30 minutes a session, well, they're with you for an hour and a half in the week, and they have 166 and a half other hours without you. But whenever they're not seeing results, they blame you. They blame the trainer. Training doesn't work. I went to the gym doesn't work. The gym I go to doesn't have enough equipment. Arnold Schwarzenegger could work out with a rubber band and a paper clip, and he would have an effective workout. So why is it that someone who's not in shape thinks that the amount of equipment that they have is what's lacking in their ability to get in shape? So yeah, man, I agree with you. Training is definitely not for everybody, especially seeing as the pure definition of a personal trainer is someone who teaches a person how to use equipment in the gym. Nowhere in that job description does it say that you have to get someone results. Nowhere in that description does it say that you have to have the ability to give somebody results. It basically just licenses you to be able to take out an insurance claim if you injure someone who uses equipment improperly while under your care. The coaching aspect is what takes a trainer to being an effective coach. And the only way that a coach can really be an effective part of someone's life is if they've done it before. So that's the difference between like a follower and a leader. A true leader is someone who, without their team, can get everything done on their own and better than the people that are on their team. And so the people that are following a leader must be looking up to the results that that leader has obtained themselves or obtained for other people, or else they're just like an influencer. They're not really a leader that anybody should be following.
Yeah, that was what you said about the knowledge thing. That I struggled with that a lot. I had real bad imposter syndrome when I was doing it because it's like you said, you have to be able to do it first before you help that person. Well, when I was training people, I was training people that were overweight that wanted to lose weight, body weight, but I was kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. I was always very skinny, and I was the one that was wanting to put on muscle and trying to put on weight. So I can help you do that all day. I know I can help you gain muscle because that's what I do each and every day. But I was never 300 pounds wanting to lose 100 pounds. That was never me. So I had real bad imposter syndrome trying to train other people that were overweight and trying to lose that weight because I had never done it. So I felt like I was doing them a disservice. So that's why I kind of thought like coaching wasn't necessarily for me. But if I had a client that I had one client, he was more on the smaller side that he was wanting to build muscle. And I think he actually got pretty good results, and he enjoyed it. But yeah, I kind of just come to the conclusion that it wasn't for me. So
Right. Yeah, and a lot of time that right there is the case. And so that's something that I actually had to contend with a lot whenever someone would come to me and they would say, especially female clients who would say, Jason, I want to lose 100 pounds. And then I would tell them that I'm going to put them on a bodybuilding regimen and we're going to start gaining muscle. And so one of the first responses that you get is, well, Jason, I'm not trying to become a bodybuilder. And my response to that is always, yes, because Arnold Schwarzenegger got on a Bowflex 3 times a week for 15 minutes and he accidentally became a bodybuilder. And I would just make someone understand that the goal is not to put on a lot of muscle, it's to put on some muscle because muscle is the furnace that allows our body to grow. And a body without muscle is not only is it a weak body, but it's an unhealthy body. A body without muscle is a petri dish for disease, ailments, cancers, free radicals, all kinds of things that will destroy the body when the body is either anabolic or catabolic, right? And so the body in itself is either eating itself or it's eating nutrients in order to build itself. And so it doesn't matter if someone is a skinny kid that wants to put on muscle or they're an overweight person that wants to lose body fat, building muscle is always the answer. And so just helping people to understand that, also helping people to understand basal metabolic rate and how the body actually burns calories. Like I said earlier, the muscle that we have in our body is the furnace that burns calories. So that means that every calorie that we burn is predicated upon the amount of muscle that we have in our body. So you take, for instance, I was looking around for a nutrition label. This is a bottle of Chuck Norris water. There's no nutrition label on it. Um, I always use the 2,000 calorie a day diet as a standard for explaining to somebody because we see 2,000 calories per day on every box that we look at. So if somebody's eating a 2,000 calorie a day diet, and let's just say they're completely unaware of their metabolic rate, but let's just say, for instance, their body does burn 2,000 calories a day and they're not lifting weights and they're not taking in adequate enough protein or the mix of macronutrients that it would take to build muscle. Most people just taking carbs and fat, right? So let's just say, for instance, somebody's eating 2,000 calories a day and then their body is burning 2,000 calories a day. And then they say that they want to get in shape. Well, one of the first things that they do is they start going into the gym and doing a bunch of cardio. And then they start depleting their body of calories. And so one of the very first things that burns is, well, you have water that burns off first, excess water that's flowing through our muscles and fat. And then the second thing that burns is muscle. And the main reason why that happens is it's an easier tissue to attack. It only has 4 calories per gram as opposed to body fat, which has 9 calories per gram. So when somebody goes into the gym and they're not lifting weights and they're only doing cardio, well, they're burning off their excess muscle. And so at the end of the month, a person is eating their 2,000 calories a day, but their body is only burning 1,800 calories a day. And then another month goes by, and these are crude examples, but another month goes by and they're eating 2,000 calories a day, but their body's only burning 1,600 calories a day. So before you know it, a person that goes to the gym yeah, they might have lost 5 or 10 pounds in the beginning, but now they've hit a plateau because their body is literally holding on to body fat to help them survive through the starvation that it believes they're going through because they're not replacing their physical activity with amino acids, and they're not utilizing their physical activity to strengthen their structure. I've always said that running on a treadmill will give you a healthy heart, but cardio burns calories. It doesn't burn fat unless you are actively taking advantage of the principles that would allow the body to burn body fat, which would be hypertrophy, which would be progressive overload, the things that we know how to build muscle. But again, whenever you tell somebody that they're going to go on a bodybuilding routine or a muscle building routine, then their response is, well, Jason, that's not what I came to you for. So then you have to be creative with the things that you say. You know, you have to think, you have to tell them, okay, so we're just going to lift some weights today rather than telling them that we're doing bodybuilding. And then you pull out that book and you start writing down their routine, and and some people, the science is just a little too confusing for people to be successful. And so to me, that's what the whole point of a good coach would be, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with building muscle is the way to go no matter what your goals are. I always think of cardio or running, that should be like a supplement to your routine. It shouldn't be your actual routine. But I experienced this firsthand because I actually, back in November, I did an Ironman, my first one, and I lost over 20 pounds of I'm not gonna say all muscle, but the majority of it was muscle just because I was working out, doing cardio twice a day, eating, just enough to get me by. So I shrunk. I got little, lost a bunch of weight, size. I normally wear a large, and I was literally wearing a medium by the time I came to race day, and it was swallowing me whole. So it it definitely took a toll on my body doing all the cardio and stuff. So I definitely experienced that firsthand. But luckily I've put a lot of weight back on since then. So we're getting back to where we were before.
You look great. And it does a lot to you mentally, especially whenever you were used to having that muscle. And the mental struggle is a little bit easier to overcome than the spiritual and emotional struggle. And so an in shape person, a person that has the knowledge of being in shape, has a more logical approach to getting in shape or furthering their body into shape because they have the experience and the numbers and the principles that are taken in order for them to be successful. Now, a person who's been overweight most of their life, they don't have these logical principles. And so that's the reason why their journey is going to be more spiritual or emotional, because losing 100 pounds or 200 pounds of body fat has a whole lot less to do with working out. It has a lot less to do with diet than it has to do with the belief that you have in yourself and the belief that you have, the faith that you have in your own willingness to follow through on a journey, which is the reason why progress is so important. And so, especially when someone was losing weight, I would always make sure that we took progress pictures once a week,
Mhm.
once a month. That way, whenever someone says, Jason, I don't think this is working, well, we can compare the pictures on their journey. And because we see our own selves in the mirror every day, well, we're not always sure if our body is changing, right? But then you have people that are like, have you been losing weight? You look great. Well, whenever you see yourself, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter how much weight you are losing, no matter if you're a skinny guy trying to gain weight, something magical happens when you compare those two pictures because you know the decisions that it took to get from here to here. So when you see progress, that makes that shift that makes you go, if I know that I made these changes that allowed this progress to happen, what further changes can I make to make more progress faster. So then someone goes from the attitude of, Jason, how often do I have to go to the gym in order to see results? Their mindset shifts into, what more can I do better in order to see results? And then at that point, it has nothing to do with the gym. They stop eating desserts. They start doing push-ups while they're watching, TV at home. They start going on walks. A person, and it's really funny to think about it, a person that, I can't even remember the math. I don't want to say the math wrong, but if a person goes from like zero activity to an hour of activity a week, well, you have an increase of like 100% of your activity, right? But if you go from an increase of 1 hour a week of activity to 24 hours a week of activity, you have a 2,400% increase in overall activity. So, how much activity are you doing? And these principles, once somebody understands these principles, then all of a sudden they're able to get through the emotional and the spiritual side of it, because they start adapting the logic that it really takes. And so, as a trainer, most trainers, and the reason why their clients don't get results is not just because a trainer might not have the knowledge, but it's also because the trainer kind of holds on to the knowledge because they need the paycheck. So, they, just like a doctor is not going to cure a patient because they need the client coming back, a trainer is probably not going to train and give someone every bit of information that they have because they need that client to keep returning. Me, on the other hand, I taught everything that I knew to everybody at all times. And I would tell people that by the end of 90 days, my goal is to make sure that you don't need me anymore. And sure enough, by the end of 90 days, those people had seen results. Those people knew how to lose weight and build muscle, and they probably knew enough and became inspired enough to where they went from being an obese or out of shape person, and then they ended up being a trainer.
Yeah, I like what you said about the mindset shift. I talk about that a lot on the podcast myself. I always say you should shift your mind from thinking of working out as something that you have to do to shifting your mind to thinking of it's something that you get to do. So once you can make that mindset shift, it just makes it easier because then you're not saying, "Oh, I have to go to the gym today." You're saying, "Oh, I get to go to the gym today." You look forward to it. Because I was that person. As soon as I started seeing those results, like you said, I got addicted to it. Like I was addicted from the get go. And now I don't like missing a day. It makes me mad when I miss a day. I had to take off yesterday and I didn't. It just, you feel off. Like I felt different all day because I know I didn't go to the gym in the morning. But yeah, I got addicted from the get go. And a lot of other people are the same way. Once they lose that first 20 pounds, they're like, "Oh, if I can lose 20, I can lose 40." So they're gonna keep going and keep pushing. It just takes them from getting to that first 20 pounds. It takes them a minute to get there. But once they finally get there and they see the progress pictures, like you said, then that's what gets them hooked. And then that's when people can make real results, real life-changing results. Like you said, you lost 120 pounds. Like that's what it probably took you to get going. So I think the mindset shift is huge when it comes to your fitness journey and just seeing those ultimate results that you really want.
It's also the reason why consistency is more important than intensity, and that right there, I mean, you could say that sentence and you could compare it to all kinds of aspects of life, even in business. Especially now with the magic internet button. That's what I call the internet, the magic internet button. Um, Someone thinks that they can make a video and then go viral and reach millions of people, but they're trying to be successful before they become valuable. A valuable person is successful regardless. And so that's a person that's trying to influence people rather than lead people. Once you have the knowledge and information to grow, well, then you can share that information and you can really lead people through various stages of growth. And so, especially, uh, people will go to the gym and they've never been to the gym before. and they don't know the principles of progressive overload, which basically tells us that the next time you go to the gym, you have to do more than you did last time. Well, then they go into the gym and man, they do everything. They go in there and they bust ass, they get on the treadmill, they get to this machine, this machine, this machine, this machine, and they do so much. Well, the problem with that is now your body expects you to do all that before it will make a change again. So if somebody goes to the gym for the first time in their life and they go 3 days in a row and they just kill their body, well, not only are they going to have trouble walking around and moving, but their body literally tells them, if you don't do that every single time you go into the gym, then I'm not going to help you see any changes, which is the reason why those first steps are so important. I've talked about it on a couple of different shows, but whenever I made the decision to get in shape and to start utilizing my personal training many, many years ago, I bought a bicycle. And the very first time I got on the bicycle, I probably rode it half a mile and I thought I was going to die. And the gym was about 3 miles away. And so my first steps were riding further on the bike, getting closer to the gym. It took weeks before I ever made it to the gym just to get my body used to pedaling that bicycle. And then the very first time that I finally made it to the gym, I didn't even go in the gym. I parked my bicycle and I touched the door handle to the gym. And then I got back. And then after a while, I started going into the gym and doing this much until I started to learn those principles. And I even told myself in the beginning, like, I didn't want to work out with a personal trainer until I was able to survive a session with a personal trainer, because that's the thing. Even personal trainers don't understand that the intensity versus consistency. And so trainers will say to themselves, like, oh, I can't wait to get this person in here and kill them. I love killing my clients. I love watching somebody writhing on the floor in pain. And it's like, those are the wrong principles. That's what's going to keep somebody from coming back. And that's also going to keep somebody from seeing results.
Yeah, you definitely can't go straight to 100 if they hadn't done anything before. I always like to say you can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10. You always see the people like the fitness influencers, like you talked about. They're in the gym doing these crazy out off the wall workouts. And yeah, they're cool and they probably work. But if you're just starting, that's not where you need to start. You need to stick with the basics. Don't try to do nothing crazy. Don't try to do too much. Start with literally the workouts that have been around for hundreds of years, like your basic barbell movements, things like that. Just don't compare your chapter 1 to their chapter 10. There's no reason that you have to start where they're at. Because guess what? They started right where you started at. Like they started on chapter 1 too. They didn't just start at chapter 10. So you got to go through the chapters to get to where they're at. So I like to say you don't want to compare yourself to them because they're leaps and bounds ahead of you. Like you'll get there eventually, but you gotta flip through the pages to get there. You know what I'm saying? You can't just start where they're at. So I feel like a lot of people have that fear going into like a public gym. They see all the big jack dudes in there working out. And it actually keeps people from going in there and working out because they feel out of place. They feel like they don't belong there. So you just got to know that you're not at the same level that they're at yet, but you will get there if you keep working. And they started right where you started at too. So just remember, like they were the new guy once. They were thinking the same thing that you're thinking. You just got to stick to it, and it's the long play. You got to stick through it for the long run, and eventually you'll get there.
It's funny that you say that because whenever I was out of shape, and I see it a lot too, like whenever I first started out, like you hope that the gym is empty. You don't want people to see you because when you walk into the gym, you feel like everybody is looking at you and everybody is judging you. The reality is nobody's looking at you and nobody cares. Like
Hmm.
we think about ourselves a whole lot more than everybody else thinks of us. But now, today, and you're the same, I know you are. As an athlete, I seek out gyms and gym environments where there are more athletes because you get that energy that allows you to grow faster. It's almost like even if you walk, like I have a membership at Fitness Connection, I have one at 24-hour fitness. And each gym that I go to has a completely different energy. Fitness Connections all just kind of seem like a clusterfuck of a mix of people that are just trying to make it into the gym because there's a huge amount of equipment that's available to use. And then 24-hour fitnesses all have their own energy. And so there's a 24-hour fitness in Richardson, Texas, that's more like a YMCA. You walk in there and it smells like a retirement home, and the energy is just down. Most of the clientele are senior citizens who are really just going in there to do aerobics classes and swimming classes. And then you have the 24-hour fitness in Louisville, which somebody should really file a lawsuit against 24 hours because they haven't been 24 hours since COVID, you know? And 24-hour fitness in Louisville is the only 24-hour fitness in the Metroplex that's actually open 24 hours. So that one has more of a fitness connection energy. Because it's open 24 hours, it's the one gym that everybody tries to go to at whatever times of the day. But then there's this 24-hour fitness in North Dallas that's not really near anything, and it's full of athletes. And that's the place that I like to go work out because even if you've never talked to anybody in there, y'all are each other's accountability partners because this person's growing, this person's changing, and you're seeing these people on a regular basis to the point to where you'll start doing handshakes and you'll start introducing yourselves. You'll start working out together. But most of all, you can feel the fact that you're surrounded by other people who are working out just as intense as you are. And then that will increase your level of intensity. It'll increase your propensity to want to go into the gym and to almost to keep up that facade. I won't even call it a facade. It's like if I don't show up to the gym today, then the people that I go to the gym with will notice that I'm not there. At that point, they do. Whenever you're first starting out, nobody notices you. But whenever you go to the gym and you're one of the people that helps people spot and you talk to people and give them a good positive reinforcement to their day, people start to notice who you are. And then they start looking forward to seeing you in the gym.
Yeah, I definitely made a lot of connections with people that work out in the gym because everybody goes at the same time. Pretty much you have the same schedule during the week. So you typically work out with the same people. So you definitely make a lot of friendships, connections, things like that of people of all ages. I mean, I talk to people twice my age, three times my age, so it's very unique. I actually I enjoy the fitness, like not the culture, but that camaraderie in the gym. Like I like hanging out with people talking. I know most of the time you want to not be distracted so you can get your workout in good, but it is good to have people in there to chit chat with because it does give you that fitness family feel. It's not like everybody's judging you and things like that. And definitely what you said, people do not notice you in the gym. Like you can do some crazy stuff in the gym and people are not paying attention, but you think they are. That's the funny thing.
That's also the opposite of the way that an out of shape person thinks, because out of shape people think that fit people are arrogant and rude and they believe that they're better than somebody. And that's further from the truth. People believe that because that's something they see in themselves. An insecure person thinks down upon other people, regardless if that person is of a higher or more valuable status than that person. People who have already made it to the top, we we have nothing to prove. You know what I'm saying? So a person that's in shape has no reason to look down upon a person that's out of shape. But the person that's out of shape will come up with reasons to justify not building a relationship with a person that's in shape, not asking for help. I've always said that I can't help someone who knows everything, right? And I'm going to read something to you. It's something that I wrote this morning. Um, I have a men's ministry that I do on Sundays, and I always write stuff throughout the week to share. So I wrote this just this morning. I said, the angrier, louder, and more aggressively a man reacts to adversity or threats, The weaker is his mental state and his physical ability to defend himself. The less capable is his capacity for spiritual manifestation or growth, or obtaining the life and relationships he needs to thrive. Most men pull muscles while they're sitting in a chair, and they masquerade around as being tough while they live under the delusion that they believe they can kick everyone else's ass, when in reality they would run out of breath if they got on the floor to do a single push-up, or drop dead of a heart attack if they tried to run to the end of the block. The quieter and more logical a man responds to threats without aggression, the more confident he is in his own ability to protect himself and his loved ones. The less he has to prove to a man of lower status than his own strength or character. And the final sentence of that is, weak men have something to prove, while a valuable man has already proven it.
Yeah, that's good. I like to, like you mentioned, people being scared to ask people questions in the gym. I like to really encourage my listeners to go ask the big jack dude in the gym for some advice, for some help, because they would love to help you out. Like that, that kind of boosts a jacked person's ego. Like it does for me. I like to think that I'm pretty advanced in the fitness. So if somebody ever asks me a question, like that makes me feel good about myself. That makes me
And it
feel like,
holds you more accountable
yeah.
because you realize that people are looking up to you.
Mhm.
So then if you were going to eat that oatmeal cream pie, then you might choose not to eat that oatmeal cream pie because you know that it can affect your body negatively. And you realize that, man, when I go to the gym, there's a chance that another person could come to me and ask me for help, and another person could. And you're exactly right, man. Like, that's the difference between the chapter 1 and the chapter 10 is a person who's writing their own book. They have nothing to share because they're on chapter 1. But a person who's on chapter 10, they want everybody to read those chapters. And so we can take that comparison and we can use that as an analogy for what we're talking about. Uh, once once somebody hits a certain level, the big guys usually want to help the little guys. And that's how we are. But the little guys probably going to be afraid of talking to the big guy. But anyway, man, since we have already gone into our 30 minutes, I want to ask you now, since you've been inspired by this talk, what are you going to do to grow your fitness business? What are your
That's a good
goals?
question. My goals right now is definitely to build my YouTube channel. So I want to monetize my YouTube channel and provide. I don't know. I've thought about getting back into training people, but I kind of want to stay away from that for now. I really want to focus on monetizing the YouTube channel and make a career that way because I like the whole um, content side of things. So my goal is just to provide a lot of value in my videos to where people subscribe and eventually I can monetize the channel through brand sponsorships, uh, ad
What else
revenue,
are you
things like
doing
that.
to bring attention to the YouTube channel? How else are you marketing yourself?
Just right now, I'm just posting on my socials. Post a lot of shorts on pretty much all the social media channels. I'm doing the podcast, so I always shout myself out, shout the YouTube channel out in the podcast, and then just anybody I see in the gym that I talk to or that ask me questions, I help them out and let them know that I do content. I'm not doing any paid like advertising or anything like that. I just do uh, social media marketing basically.
Well, it's time to start working on your first book. It's time to start doing PR. Like even this is PR for you because even though I'm going to send you the raw copy and you can put it on your own podcast, well, I'm going to take this copy and I'm going to put it on TV. And so after something happened a few months ago, man, I turned on my Roku channel and then I noticed that Mr. Beast had his own Roku channel. And whenever I went to the Mr. Beast Roku channel, I found it to be a stroke of genius because his goal is to keep getting people to subscribe to his YouTube channel. So he's utilizing every outlet that he can in order to get people to that YouTube channel. One of the reasons why you need to work on your first book is because whenever you get that first book out there, that holds you in a higher esteem of authority than every other fitness person out there. So once you get your first book or books out there, then people will want you to come on their shows and they want you to talk to them. They see your influence. They want you to come on the news, the radio. They want you to start talking to their audiences, and then you're leveraging their audiences in order to grow. One thing that I would suggest to you, and I'm going to do like a little commercial spot for you. As soon as I saw Mr. Beast on TV, I bought a couple of companies that build TV channels. And so even though we were doing a lot of merchant processing with our software firm, and we have like proprietary software that helps people build affiliate marketplaces and such, then I decided that I was going to start helping people get on TV. And so if somebody goes to the App Store and they download the TV Builder Pro app, which is all one word, and they download that app, whenever they get prompted, they're going to put in the referral code Murphy. The reason why they're going to do that is because after we hang up, you're going to get on the TV Builder Pro app and you're going to change your referral code to Murphy. And so then whenever people see this episode and they decide that they want to increase their influence and buy a TV channel, then they'll download the TV Builder Pro app and they'll register and they'll put in the referral code Murphy and then they'll buy a TV channel so they can be on Roku or Apple TV or Amazon or whatever. And every single time they do, Murphy gets money. And then on top of that, Murphy, I'm going to work with you to make sure that you start getting on TV too, so that you can utilize that source and start increasing your influence as well. And so I've always believed that, like even whenever it comes to business, like someone will say to me, like, Jason, if I start using a smarter app, should I stop using Amazon or should I use eBay or should I use Etsy or Shopify? And my answer is always use them all. Like you need to put your content everywhere that you can because each one of those platforms has their own individual audiences, their own individual search engines, and they're looking for you. And so, anyway, man, I would love if we could record content on a regular basis. I would also love to watch and see your career grow, from a business coaching perspective. I'm now going to hold you accountable to all the bullshit that you said about building your brand. And I'm going to make sure that you turn this into a multiple $1 million thing over the course of the next couple of years because there's no reason why you can't, especially if you have some guidance to do it.
Yeah, that's the whole goal for sure. So got to start somewhere though. So
Yeah,
we're
you're
working on
doing
building it
great,
slowly
man.
but surely.
You're doing great. All right, brother. Well, hey, man, if you want to throw yourself on my calendar, do it anytime. And then I'll make sure that I get this footage over to you. And then I'll also make sure that you have instructions for the TV Builder Pro app because whenever people see this, people are going to buy TV channels and they're going to put in your referral code. It's all free for you to do it. So I just want to make sure that you have that source of revenue because just like advertising yourself everywhere, you need every source of revenue that you can. So once people start seeing you on TV and they start seeing your content grow and your channel grow, then that's going to push them to start following the things that you did in order to become more successful. So how do you want to end the show, man? What do you want to say?
Uh, I mean, just like shout out my
Yeah,
podcast,
you
things
give
like that.
yourself a shout out. I'll give myself a shout out. If there's any principle or any kind of one-liner that you want to say to motivate some people to get their butts in the gym, go for it.
Oh, a one liner. That's a good one. Well, I'll tell you the one thing that got me going, that got me started making content because I was always scared to get on camera. But the one thing that got me going is you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So that one little quote alone kind of really pushed me to get going, to get started on making content and sharing my message out to the public on the button of the internet, like you like to say,
Right.
or the
The
internet
magic
button. What
internet
was
button.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But other than that, oh, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead, go for it. Other than that,
I was just going to shout out my socials. The Check the podcast out at the Fitness Beginner Podcast. We're on basically all podcasting platforms, and we're also on YouTube at the Fitness Beginner Podcast. And if you want to follow me on my social media accounts, it's Murphy Mac Fit. So that's MurphyMcFit. Murphy Mac Fit.
I was just going to ask, does the background color ever change or is it always green?
Well, I used to change it, and then I wanted to like start building that brand, so I went with the color green. So lately, I've only been doing green because I want to kind of make it like a personal brand. So I quit changing it up. On my YouTube videos, I will do a different color sometimes, but on the podcast, I strictly do green.
Yeah. Um, there's a menu that pops up somewhere whenever you're on Zoom. You just have to there's like all these little AI companions that you can look for. But this right here, this is free.
Hmm.
It's just a tool on Zoom. So this thing that you see on my
The
screen,
lower third.
yeah, the lower third
Hmm.
where it says Jason Criddle, CEO, managing partner, like it's free. I think it's called Vimly or something like that. But if you scroll through, if you look through the free tools that are available on Zoom, then you'll be able to put your own little moniker and logo and everything that pops up. That way, whenever somebody sees your beautiful face, they're not just looking at your face, but they'll actually go to your website or, it helps. Every single time I put this out there, somebody downloads my app just because it's available for them to see it on the screen. So
Hmm.
that's just something that I would recommend doing, especially if you're going to start using Zoom a little bit more to record calls.
Yeah, I don't. I actually have that function. I use a different software. I live stream my podcast episodes, so I use a
Oh, I
live
got
streaming
you.
software. And I actually do the lower third on mine, but I don't use Zoom very often, so I don't have it set up.
Right on, man. All right, brother. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Like I said, if you want to throw yourself on my calendar at any time, and then my day is packed. I can't promise that I'll get you this footage today, but I'll get it to you before the end of the weekend. All right.
That's no problem. Just whenever you can. I already got a podcast lined up for the
Yeah,
next time
right.
anyway, so I'll just roll this one in there when I can.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Of
All right. All right. Appreciate your time.
course.